Alright guys, so the next thing we got to cut out is the trailing arm cross member, and then this back bed support here. This is where the Boyd's welding tank goes. Trailing arm cross member, definitely going to be a fun one. So what I'm going to do is down in here, you've got 2 rivets up on the top. You've got 2 rivets down here on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with a Sawzall and cut about even with the frame straight down here. That'll give us more access to get into the rivets. On this side, going to do the same thing. Straight down here and then straight down here. Now these are the gas lines for the gas tank that goes up into the cab. So I'm going to cut that last. We're going to drain the tank, make sure any fumes, all that sort of stuff are out before we start cutting through. Sawzalls obviously don't typically give you a lot of sparks, but you never know. So we're going to be extra careful on that one. So let's go ahead and get this one out. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got the cross member out. Tyler did a lot of grinding and punching out rivets and stuff, but you can see here's the 5 lower bolt holes, or rivets, they need to pop out. Then you have, kind of hard to see, you've got 2 upper ones, one here and one there. And then over on this side again, you've got the 5 lowers and then the 2 uppers. On this side, this is the passenger side, we went ahead and removed the fuel lines that run on this rail. They have little nuts and bolts that go in on this side. We had to remove the brake line just because it was in with the 2 fuel lines. We remove the fuel line that goes up into the cab. Again, he's doing the Boyd's welding tank, so we took that out. He also pulled out the gas tank, so all of that's out today, giving him a little bit more seat room. So now what we're going to do is put in the new CPP crossmember, bolt that in, and then start working on the trailing arms. And then put new bushings on the trailing arms and getting those bolted in. So without further ado, we'll put in the crossmember. Alright, so the CPP crossmember, pretty easy to tell which way it goes. These trailing arm mounts should be towards the top end of the crossmember. It has the provisions for all the regular bolts. It's got these little cutouts here on the side for where your parking brake cables go. Give you room to run fuel lines. So, and then it gives you all the hardware. It gives you new bolts for the trailing arms. Like I said, we're gonna switch out these bushings because these are pretty bad on here. But we'll get this bolted in and then start working on the rest. All right, so we will take the cross member. It's not light. Put it at an angle. And we should be able to slide it in. And we're gonna get the dead blow just to get it to go in. All right, so as you can see, it got the CPP crossmember in. It did take a lot of gentle coercion with a dead blow hammer to get it. It is a tight fit, but as you can see, up underneath, you've got 2 bolts up there on the top. You've got 3 bolts down here on the bottom, same as the other side. It will maybe take a little bit of finesse to get all the bolt holes to line up. I had one that was a little bit off, but what I was able to do is take a punch and get that up in the hole, and then just kind of move it around just to shimmy the cross member in, just to get the last one in. Top bolts are probably the hardest to put in, but if you start it from the bottom and then come over on the outside of the frame to get up and in and reach your hand in, that's what worked the best for me. Gonna go and do final tightening of everything down once we get the trailing arms on. But all in all, the hardest part again is just grinding off all of the excess rivets and all that sort of stuff. We are gonna put the plate back on. CPP gives you the bolts for that extra support plate. So I'm gonna put that on, but wanted obviously to mock up and make sure everything fits. So it does, so I'll pull off the nuts on these here. Drop down the bolts. The bolts for the support don't touch anything on the cross member, so they're just open holes up in there. So we'll get those on and be good to go. Over the past couple days, was able to get the CPP Trailing Arm Crossmember in. Was also able to do the CPP C-Notch and get the bags bolted in. So got those in, going to start running airline, plumbing, electrical, all that sort of fun stuff. But as you can see, the trailing arm crossmember looks good down in there. Kind of hard to see because of the lighting. Probably the hardest part, besides drilling out all the rivets and everything, which Tyler did that, was actually getting the crossmember in there. It is a tight fit. But you know, with some hits of a rubber mallet, was able to get it back in there, or dead blow. Got the trailing arms all hooked up. The CPP C-Notches, got these cut out. Pretty easy install, obviously cutting out for a C-Notch here, then drilling the holes where you need to. This side you need to drill 2 here, and then the bottom ones, kind of hard to see, but bottom ones all bolt in here, and then you've got 2 here, and then this middle one, it's kind of hard to see. This middle one is where the actual all thread goes through for the bag. You can see the back side of this one over here. Put it in the bump stops right now. We may take them out. This side again, all the bottom ones were already pre-done. You've got these 2 here that you have to drill these rivets out. And then you have the side ones. These you need to drill these holes and then get them to fit in. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put in the bags. I've already got them set up, painted the brackets, airline fittings on it. We did a 90-degree. Gonna put in, easiest thing to do with these is you put them in first into the frame. So we'll put this in. It is a little bit of a tight fit. This bag bracket's just sitting here right now. So this goes up and in. First I'm gonna drop the axle down some. Yep. Hold on. All right. So for the bag, you'll take your bag, already have your bolts tightened on the top, your air fitting in, pointing out through the recess in the upper cup. First thing to do is put the bag up into this hole, kind of hard to see right in there. So we'll put it up in through this hole and bolt it from the top and let it suspend by the nut. So we'll go ahead and do that now and then show you how to do the bottom. All right, so now we got the bag suspended in. There's a nut in here in the frame rail. And when you put the all thread through, it comes in. You'll just tighten that down. And then now that the bag is suspended here, what you can do is get your plate ready. The kit comes with a piece of all thread, and what we'll do is raise the axle up, which will then bring this up closer, feed the all thread through the bottom hole of the trailing arm through here, basically like that, and then get it through the actual plate and into the bag. All right, so once you've got the axle jacked up, you can feed the all thread through the hole here in the trailing arm, up in through the bag bracket into the bag. A little trick, if you want, make it a little bit easier when you're putting this on, is take an extra nut and run the nut up to this nut here, and then you can use that bottom nut to tighten up the all thread up into the bag. So you can make sure that this all thread's all the way up into the bag, and then back off that nut, bring this one up, and tighten this one down. You can trim these if you want. We're gonna have plenty of clearance that we're not really gonna have to worry about it. But you know, we'll see how it goes once we put the wheels on. I recommend leaving it if you want to, just to give you a little bit extra length as you're adjusting. Give you enough wiggle room to wiggle it all in, get it to fit. But bag's in there securely, not going anywhere. This is pretty much right at where the bag is not compressed. The bag is just sitting in there tightened up. Not going to be able to get it laid out per se, because there's no weight back here. So even if we put on a wheel, since we've got the front on jack stands, if we jack it up anymore, it's not going to compress the bag. It's just going to lift the frame up and off of the jack stands. But that's how you bag the back of a C10 with the CPP kit, the twisted images, airbag brackets. Bolting kit, as you can see, gives you a decent amount of clearance. This obviously allows you to keep your stock bed floor, which a lot of people are after. Will you get as low as a traditional big step notch? No, of course not. But if you want to retain a relatively stock appearance in your bed, you want a bolt-in kit with no welding, just some cutting and grinding. This is definitely the kit to go with. So in our next video, we will get everything buttoned up. I'm going to start working on the Boyd's fuel cell that's going in here. I got that in that box there. So we're gonna get the fuel cell in, because that's got to go up from the bottom, drill out some holes. Can utilize some of these holes here, so we'll do that. He got the side filler neck, so it's going to come out over here, and then we're going to feed it up into the jerry can that's going to be back up in the bed. Other things we have to do, obviously put the drive shaft back in, run the fuel lines from the fuel pump back to the Boyd's tank, the airlift, air management, all that's going in the bed, but we'll start the wiring and everything on that when the bed is off to make it easier just to get to. And then we do have to run some new brake lines. Some of his lines were pretty dry rot. This rear line, the front to rear line, we ended up having to actually cut that because we couldn't break the fitting loose. So we're going to run that, run the new brake lines up front, get that all bolted together, but that'll be in the next video. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Project Blue Collar. If you haven't already, go ahead and give a like on this video. Leave us a comment or two on what you'd like to see on the project, what you liked what we've done so far. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so you get notifications every time we do an upload of videos. We're going to try and do one video a week on this until it's done. Next is obviously going to be the plumbing, wiring, and wrapping all that up. It shouldn't take too long, but stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching, guys.